Introduction to Project-Based Learning, or PBL, by Emily Abernethy. What is project-based learning? Project-based learning, or PBL, is the idea of teaching a concept while connecting it to the real-world applications. South Carolina's standards are called College and Career Ready Standards, which implies the importance of concentrating on students' lives after they graduate from high school. By using real-world scenarios, challenges, and problems, students gain useful knowledge and skills that increase during the designated project periods. PBL encourages students to use real-life skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, time management, and self-reflection. In math, some students struggle with remembering concepts after they are assessed on the information. Students are more likely to remember information they are taught when it correlates with real-world scenarios. Inquiry-based learning plays a big role in PBL. In PBL, students are given a scenario and they have to figure out a solution to the problem. Why does project-based learning work? Project-based learning can broaden the horizon for students' interests. Students tend to learn better when they see the connection between what they are learning in the real world. At the beginning of the year, when teachers are building community in the classroom, it is important for them to learn who each student is and what they enjoy doing. Students will bring their own unique experience and perspectives into the projects they are given. Students are more engaged in activities when it includes their interests. Therefore, this practice encourages students to understand and perform better in the class. Before jumping right into a PBL unit, it is important to go over some things with the students. As stated before, while you are building community in the classroom, it is important for you to get to know your students. You need to know what your students' interests are so they can be engaged in the activity. You can also get to know their background and what they find important. Many PBL activities require students to work with partners or groups, so it is important to know if they can work together and whom they can work together well with. Are they capable of leading their own learning, or do they need teacher guidance throughout the unit? Do the students know how to use technology that is incorporated into the project? These are important questions that you need to ask before starting a project. To make sure students are responsible for their own learning, it is important for teachers or each group to assign roles like manager, an artist, a speaker, a recorder, or anything else for the specific project. You could also have the students divide the project up into certain items to ensure each student is responsible for helping complete the project. When designing a project, the gold standard project-based learning design framework gives you a structure to follow. Phase 1, launching the project, is meant to grasp the attention of students. You want the students to be engaged in the project, so it is important to find ways to make them interested in the activity or activities that is about to be completed. This goes back to getting to know your students and what they find interesting or a project they can relate themselves to. It is time to introduce a driving question so the students know what their end goal is. Allow time for the students to ask questions about the topic so they have a clear understanding of what they need to complete. This is also a great time to place students into groups or have them do it themselves, depending on your classroom layout, and lay down the foundation of the project. Phase 2, building knowledge, understanding, and skills. In Phase 2, students gain knowledge and skills required for the project. This can include teacher-led lessons, independent investigations, or bringing in outside professionals to assist students with the knowledge needed to complete their project. It is important to use the list of student questions to know what they need assistance on. Phase 3, developing, critiquing, and revising products. Phase 3 is very important for the students to apply what they are learning to develop possible answers to whatever the driving question is. Phase 3 is where most of the time will be spent while working on the project. Each group also receives feedback from other groups and teachers. The groups then can revise their project based off the feedback they received to better improve their finalized piece. Phase 4, presenting products. Presenting products is the big finish for a project. Students come to a conclusion and get their presentations together. The students should use the critiques in the last phase to better their projects. When they are ready to present, they can formally present the project to an audience or publish it for people to view. It is really important for the teacher and students to evaluate the PBL unit. This can include debriefing about the project and talk about each of the phases that were completed. The students should be asked to evaluate their performance to see if they did the best that they could do. In my previous 6th grade math class, I have incorporated PBL projects with my students. The outcomes have been great and majority of the students were engaged during each of these activities. Each project included interests of the students and students had wiggle room to express who they were as an individual. Students are introduced to operations with decimals in 6th grade. They are expected to fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. Where does one see decimals in the real world? Most of the 6th grade students correlate decimals with money. I created a project where students plan a trip to Florida and stay within a certain budget. Students plan the amount of money they would need for gas, food, and lodging for the duration of the trip. The greatest part about the project is the students get to plan the attractions they would want to see in Florida. This involves calculating the ticket costs and food while there. The students are given a fixed budget, so they must figure out how much money is left over to spend on souvenirs. I also provide students the opportunity to work with a partner to complete the project. So the two students must agree upon where they want to stay and the attractions they want to see. Another 6th grade project covers ratios and percentages. At the end of the units, I assess students with a real-world project that involves food. The students have to scale up or down a recipe to make enough for the class size. The students work in and out of the classroom to complete their project. The students also calculate the percentages of each ingredient in the recipe. The students make the recipe at home and bring it in for the class to try. This is a unique project that provides an opportunity to observe various cultures in the classroom. Students love to bring in family recipes. Another great example of a PBL project we incorporated in my 6th grade class explores geometric area. My students design and build a tiny house. They determine the area of the house they are going to make, and even design furniture to fit inside the house. Students gain an insight into the importance of area while designing their own custom house. I am continuously researching new and creative ways to incorporate PBL in the classroom. In the past, I could see a significant difference between simply giving students a computation assessment rather than giving them a project. The students enjoy coming to class when they get to complete these fun projects, and the results show that they are engaged and making good grades.